You are holding a device in your hand that is arguably the most advanced piece of consumer technology ever created, yet it has one massive, glaring flaw that drives every single one of us absolutely crazy. No matter how many megapixels the camera has or how fast the new titanium chip can process data, it all means nothing if your phone is sitting at 5% by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We have all been there, frantically searching for a charging cable in the middle of a workday or dimming our screens so low we can barely see them just to make it through a commute home. You probably think it is just your hardware getting old, or that you are using too many apps. But what if I told you that Apple has intentionally buried a handful of settings deep within the iOS architecture that are doing nothing but draining your battery behind your back? There is one specific setting in particular that Apple hopes you will never find because it allows them to collect massive amounts of data at the direct expense of your device's longevity. This single hidden toggle can account for up to 60% of your daily battery consumption. And the worst part is that it is turned on by default for every single iPhone user on the planet. Today, we are going to stop the bleed. We aren't just going to talk about turning off your Bluetooth or lowering your brightness. Everyone knows that. We are going into the belly of the beast to uncover the deep architectural settings that are sucking the life out of your iPhone. I am going to show you exactly how to find this hidden drain and how to disable 5 other secret settings that will practically double your battery life in less than 5 minutes. If you are tired of being tethered to a wall outlet, you need to listen to every word of this, because Apple certainly isn't going to tell you how to do it. Let us get straight into the biggest culprit, the one that is likely responsible for that 60% drain you are experiencing. It is hidden under a menu that sounds completely harmless, but it is actually a resource hog of epic proportions. You need to open your settings, go to Privacy and Security, and scroll all the way down to the bottom to find Research Sensor and Usage Data. Most people have never even clicked on this, but if you do, you might find that it is active. This setting allows your iPhone to constantly record and store data from your sensors, including the light sensor, the accelerometer, and even your usage patterns. Then it packages that data to be sent off for research studies. This isn't just a simple log. It is a continuous, high-frequency data collection process that keeps your processor awake even when your phone is in your pocket. It is like having a car that keeps its engine idling at high speed while it is parked in the garage. By turning this off, you are instantly freeing up a massive amount of CPU cycles, which prevents your phone from heating up and keeps those battery percentages from dropping like a stone while you aren't even looking at your screen. But we are just getting started. The second hidden drain is something called significant locations. To find this one, you have to stay in your privacy and security settings, tap on location services, scroll all the way to the bottom to system services, and then look for significant locations. This is one of the most invasive and battery-intensive features on the iPhone. Your phone is literally tracking everywhere you go, keeping a detailed log of your home, your work, your favorite coffee shop, and every frequent stop in between. It uses your GPS, Wi-Fi, and cellular data constantly to pinpoint your exact movement so it can provide you with better suggestions in maps or your calendar. The problem is that GPS is one of the most power-hungry components in your phone. By allowing the phone to constantly ping satellites and cell towers to update this private map of your life, you are essentially letting your battery leak out of a giant hole. Most people don't need their phone to remember where they were last Tuesday at 4 p.m., and turning this off is a dual win. It saves your battery and it gives you back your privacy. The third setting is a classic Apple trick, and it is called Analytics and Improvements. You will find this again in the Privacy and Security section. Apple wants you to help them improve their products by sending them daily logs of how your phone is performing. On the surface, this sounds like you are being a good citizen of the ecosystem, but in reality, your iPhone is generating massive text files of every single crash, every app opening, and every system event. It then uses your battery power and your data connection to upload these files to Apple's servers. If you go into the Analytics data folder, you can see these hundreds of files for yourself. Every time your phone prepares one of these reports, it uses a noticeable amount of power. By toggling off Share iPhone Analytics, Share iCloud Analytics, and Improve Siri and Dictation, you are telling your phone to stop working for Apple for free and start working for you. Your battery life will see an immediate boost because your phone is no longer acting as a secret data reporter for the headquarters in Cupertino. Now, let us talk about the fourth drain, which is hidden in the way your apps talk to the internet. It is called Background App Refresh. Now, you might have heard of this before, But there is a secret way to manage it that most people overlook. Usually people either turn it all off or leave it all on. But if you go to General and then Background App Refresh, you can actually see every single app that thinks it has the right to run in the background. Does your calculator need to refresh in the background? Does your local grocery store app need to be constantly checking for updates while you are sleeping? Of course not. Every single toggle that is green in this menu represents an app that is allowed to wake up your phone's brain, use the Wi-Fi or cellular chip, and download data. Even if it is just for a second, when 40 different apps do this throughout the day, it adds up to a massive battery tax. The pro tip here is to set background app refresh to Wi-Fi only, or better yet, go through and manually disable it for every app except for the ones you absolutely need real-time updates from, like your messaging apps or your email. The fifth setting is tucked away in your display settings, but it isn't brightness. It is called Raise to Wake. You can find this under Display and Brightness. Raise to Wake uses the coprocessor in your iPhone to constantly monitor the accelerometer and gyroscope to see if you have picked up your phone. While it feels fancy to have your screen turn on automatically when you lift it, think about how many times this happens accidentally. It happens when you are walking with your phone in your hand, when it is shifting in your bag, or even when you just move it on your desk. Every time that screen glows, even for a few seconds, it is using a huge amount of power. Over the course of a day, these accidental activations can cost you a significant chunk of your battery. If you turn this off, you can still just tap the screen or press the side button when you actually want to use the phone. It is a tiny change in behavior that leads to a huge increase in battery longevity. Finally, we have to address the sixth and perhaps most annoying silent drain: System Services. Go back to Location Services and then System Services at the very bottom. You will see a long list of toggles like compass calibration, device management, and setting time zone. Most of these are completely unnecessary for the average user. For example, why should your phone use the GPS to calibrate your compass every hour if you aren't using a navigation app? Why should it constantly ping the network to check your time zone if you haven't left your city in months? The biggest battery killers in this specific menu are HomeKit, if you don't use smart home devices, and location-based alerts and suggestions. Apple uses these to give you reminders when you arrive at a place, or to suggest apps based on where you are. Every single one of these toggles is a tiny straw sipping from your battery cup. Turn off everything in this menu except for emergency calls and SOS, Find My iPhone, and maybe system customization. You will be shocked at how much cooler your phone runs and how much longer it lasts. Beyond these 6 settings, we need to talk about why Apple doesn't make this more obvious. There is a concept in the tech industry called planned obsolescence. And while we don't want to get into conspiracy theories, it is a fact that if your battery life feels like it is failing, you are much more likely to trade in your phone and buy the newest model. By keeping these data-heavy, sensor-heavy settings turned on by default, Apple ensures that your hardware is always being pushed to its limits. This generates more heat, and heat is the absolute enemy of lithium-ion batteries. The more your phone works in the background, the faster your battery chemistry degrades. By disabling these hidden settings, you aren't just getting more hours out of your day-to-day. You are actually extending the physical lifespan of your iPhone by years. You are keeping the battery healthy for longer because it is going through fewer charge cycles and staying at a lower operating temperature. Many people also forget about the impact of the Mail app. If you use the default Apple Mail app, go to Settings, then Mail, then Accounts, and finally Fetch New Data. Most people have this set to push. This means your phone is maintaining a constant, open connection to the mail server, waiting for a packet of data to arrive. This is like holding an open phone line 24 hours a day. If you change this to Fetch and set it to every 15 or 30 minutes, your phone can actually enter a deep sleep state between those intervals. This allows the processor to power down more effectively. Unless you are a high-level executive who needs an email the exact second it is sent, the Fetch setting is an absolute lifesaver for your battery. It is these small architectural shifts that make the difference between having a phone that is a tool and a phone that is a burden. Let's also look at the App Store. There is a setting called Automatic Downloads and App Updates. You can find this in the App Store section of your settings. While it is convenient to have your apps update automatically, your phone often decides to start a massive 3 GB update right when you are at 20% battery and away from a charger. By turning off automatic updates, you get to choose when your phone performs these heavy tasks. You can wait until you are home and plugged into power. This prevents your phone from doing intensive work at the worst possible moments. It is all about taking back control from the automation that Apple has set up to make their ecosystem feel seamless, even when that seamlessness comes at the cost of your device's efficiency. We also need to mention the haptics and sounds. In the latest versions of iOS, Apple introduced haptic feedback for the keyboard. While it feels great to have that little vibration every time you type a letter, Apple itself has admitted in their support documents that keyboard haptics can impact battery life. If you are a heavy texter, your vibrating motor is firing thousands of times a day. You can find this in Sounds and Haptics under Keyboard Feedback. Turning off the haptic toggle there is another easy way to shave off unnecessary power consumption. The same goes for the system-wide haptics. If you can live without the little buzzes when you toggle a switch or move a slider, your battery will thank you for it. Another major factor that contributes to that 60% drain is the way your iPhone handles its connection to the cellular network. If you live in an area with a spotty 5G connection, your phone is constantly switching back and forth between 5G and LTE. This searching process is incredibly taxing for the cellular modem. If you go to Settings, then Cellular Data Options, and then Voice and Data, you will see an option for 5G Auto or 5G On. If you don't actually notice a massive speed difference in your daily life, switching this to LTE can save an incredible amount of battery. LTE is much more mature and efficient, and your phone won't have to struggle to hold on to a weak 5G signal. Connectivity is often the most overlooked part of the battery equation, but it is one of the most vital. We should also talk about the visual effects that make iOS look so smooth. Things like the parallax effect on your icons and the transparency in your menus are calculated in real time by the GPU. If you go to Accessibility and then Motion, you can turn on Reduce Motion. This stops the zooming effects and the icons that move when you tilt your phone. In the same vein, if you go to Display and Brightness, make sure you are using dark mode. For any iPhone with an OLED screen, which is almost every model from the iPhone 12 onwards, black pixels are physically turned off. They consume zero power. A white background, on the other hand, requires every single pixel to be lit up at maximum capacity. Switching to dark mode isn't just an aesthetic choice. It is a literal power-saving strategy that can add up to an extra hour of screen-on time every single day. One hidden setting that almost everyone misses is in the Safari settings. Go to Settings, then Safari, and look for Preload Top Hit. Safari is constantly trying to guess which website you are going to click on next and starts loading it in the background before you even tap the link. If you are on a slow connection or browsing through a lot of search results, this means your phone is downloading tons of data that you never actually look at. This uses the data chip and the processor unnecessarily. Disabling this helps keep your browsing efficient and your battery usage intentional. It is another example of Apple trying to be helpful in a way that prioritizes speed over efficiency. It is also vital to periodically check your battery health and usage menu. If you go to Settings and then Battery, you can see a graph of exactly which apps are using the most power. But here is the secret. Tap on Show Activity to see how much of that was background usage versus screen-on usage. If you see an app like Instagram or YouTube using 30% of your battery in the background, it means something is wrong. You might need to force quit that app or check its specific in-app settings to stop it from being so aggressive. Sometimes a single bug in a third-party app can be the reason your phone is dying, and this menu is the only way to catch it red-handed. The reason analyzing these scripts and learning these settings is so important is that the modern smartphone experience is designed to be frictionless for the user but heavy for the hardware. As we move into 2026 and beyond, Apple is integrating more artificial intelligence and machine learning into the core of iOS. This means the phone is constantly trying to predict your next move, scanning your photos to identify faces, and indexing your messages for better search. While these are great features, they all have a cost. By going through and disabling the hidden settings we have discussed today, you are setting boundaries for your device. You are saying that your battery life is more important than a slightly faster app suggestion or a research log for Apple's engineers. Think about the psychological relief of not having to check your battery percentage every 30 minutes. When you optimize your phone's internal architecture, you change your relationship with the device. It becomes a reliable tool again rather than a source of anxiety. You can go on a full-day trip, take photos, use maps, and listen to music without that nagging fear that you will be stranded with a lifeless piece of glass and metal. This is the true power of finding those settings that Apple hides. You are reclaiming the utility of your expensive purchase. It is also worth noting that after every major iOS update, you should revisit these settings. Apple is known for occasionally resetting certain privacy and analytics toggles during an update under the guise of new features. It is a good habit to do a privacy and battery audit once every few months. This ensures that you stay ahead of the curve and that your phone stays as efficient as the day you took it out of the box. The 60% drain is real, and it is a result of 1,000 tiny cuts. By sealing up those leaks, you are putting yourself in the top 1% of iPhone users who actually understand how their device works. You have the power to make your iPhone last twice as long as the person sitting next to you, and it doesn't require you to be a tech genius. It just requires you to go where Apple didn't expect you to look. These menus are buried for a reason. They represent the data mining and the background processes that fuel the big tech ecosystem. When you turn them off, you are making a statement about your autonomy. You are prioritizing your own experience over the data collection needs of a trillion-dollar corporation. So, as soon as this video ends, I want you to go through your settings one by one. Turn off the research sensors. Disable the significant locations. Stop sharing your analytics. Manage your background app refresh. Toggle off raise to wake, and clean up your system services. Switch to dark mode and manage your 5G settings. If you do these things, you will see an immediate and undeniable difference. Your phone will feel faster, it will stay cooler, and your battery will finally keep up with your life. This is the fix that Apple keeps hidden, but now it is in your hands. Take back your battery life, and stop letting your iPhone be a silent drain on your day. You have worked hard to afford your device. Now make sure it's working hard for you.